scapy.all import read pcap. Okay, so this is done, and we write packets equal to rd pcap, and then we give the name of the file. So it's a jig test.pcap, right? So we do this, and so you guys can also maybe just save a packet and try to kind of follow up on with this kind of script. Okay, so now we all need to do is just give the file name, and if you see, the file has been kind of read. Okay, and now I want to kind of read the packets one by one. So what I will do is, for packet in packets, and this variable packets is this one, packets. Okay, what we do is we do packet dot show. We show that packet, and then let's say I also want to do kind of interrupt in between. Okay, so I do that, and if you see, it actually loaded the pcap file for you, similar to how the wireshark will do that, and it actually showcases that to you. Okay, what all things are kind of inside that packet. And if I press enter key, I get the next packet. The next packet, the DNS query was made to google.com. Okay, and if you see, there are a lot of things that is kind of happening over here. Okay, so I hope you got an idea how you can kind of read a pcap file, okay, using the scapy module. So the thing is that this is all about the scapy module. I hope you got an idea, like, okay, how you can sniff the packet, which we have seen just now. How you can, so the things that we saw right now are this. How you can write your own sniffer. This is what we saw. Okay. Similarly, how we can write our own injector. So where we injected DNS packet. So this is something we saw, how we can do that using Scapy. And the other thing is read a pcap file. So this is again kind of like that we saw that, okay, using Scapy you can do that. You can also kind of save the pcap file that you have saved. For that, there will be a different module for that. But overall, I hope you got an idea how the sniffer work, how the injector work, and how you can read a pcap file. And with this one, with this knowledge, actually it will enable you to kind of maybe write multiple other scripts where the base will be sniffer and injector, and you can do multiple other things on that pcap file. Let's say any kind of automatic analysis or whatnot. Okay, so the sky is the limit for that. So I hope this was easy to understand, and it was kind of quite interesting how you can sniff, inject, and read the pcap file. The other labs are kind of performing the ICMP tunneling and the port scanner. That is something we'll take in the next class. And today we'll try to kind of cover. Now we'll kind of come back to the theory part, and we'll try to cover up the stages of the 6 stages of the incident response cycle. Okay. So guys, anything before I proceed with the discussion? No. Okay. Okay, so give me 1 second. So what we do, guys, maybe let me just quickly start the containment. Okay. So now the containment stage. So let's start with that. So what this containment stage is, once the incident has been identified, okay, the next step is to kind of contain the incident to prevent further damage. Okay, to prevent further damage. And so so there are a lot of things that is involved in the containment stage. It may involve isolating the system, affected system or network, affected system or networks, let's say suspending user account, for an example. These all things are that we take during a containment stage, or let's say blocking malicious traffic. Okay, So containment stage is something which should be kind of taken at a very fast pace, to limit the spread of the incident, and maybe let's say protect sensitive data. Okay. So containment stage is something where what we do is that when we have identified the incident, like let's say it is a true positive incident. So what happened is that you can't kind of, let's say you have an incident where there's a malware infection, and you identified in the identification stage, you identify that this malware is doing, let's say this malware is doing lateral movement, for an example, is doing lateral movement. Let's say you have a scenario where you identified that there's a malware that has lateral movement capabilities, and also it is expelling data out. So what you do is that what you don't do, you don't start with, like, let's say analysis of the malware at a deep level, let's say using reverse engineering and whatnot, and kind of create the IOCs and what all things. Try to kind of do the analysis as much as possible. You don't do those all things. You avoid doing any kind of deep analysis. As soon as you have got an identification stage that this incident is kind of true positive, what you do, you don't do the deep analysis going further, but you contain the incident. So let's say the malware came into my system. So rather than my team performing deep analysis of the malware, how the malware came in and what all things, what I will suggest is that my team would kind of isolate my system. So what they will do is that they will kind of disconnect my system from the network, so that the malware can't spread to any other device. So that is something that we need to kind of keep on mind. We need to kind of avoid those things. Even though that looks important, like analyzing of the malware, it looks important, but thing is that during an incident, those all things are not needed. We need to first contain the incident, so that even if the attacker has came in, the attacker can't do anything malicious now. Okay. And the attacker can't again come into the system by exploiting any kind of vulnerability. So what we do is basically we isolate the system in most of the cases, and we isolate the system most of the time using the EDR agent. Let's say we quarantine the system. Let's say you're using Carbon Black. So in the Carbon Black, there's a function called as EDR quarantine. Once you quarantine a host, what it will do is that it will execute a script on that host, and it will block all the network communication that is happening from that host to the outside world. Okay. So this is what kind of the containment stage means. And what we
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in this scenario, like if a company, if they don't have the VLAN part, like they don't have the VLAN done, so when this IOC has happened, incident happen, uh, how they will react to this incident, sir, when they don't have VLAN part? Like what I'm asking is, if after the incident they will stop the production or what? How they will react to that incident, sir?
Okay. So this one of the thing I recall that we had one discussion on this topic. Actually, this will be a little bit more complicated because the company network is actually a flat network. It's not segregated appropriately. So if the malware comes into a system, if you recall, I was telling that, okay, the impact will be quite high because the malware will have a high possibility to spread to other system, because there is no kind of segregation in between using VLAN or any other techniques. So the thing is that the response activity needs to be much more faster, okay, and much more accurate over there. Okay. So thing is that in a flat network, we can't say the scope will be all the systems that are kind of communicated. So let's say if it was a segregated network, we know that, okay, the malware will, let's say if that network has 10 laptops, so maybe the malware will be able to kind of come into the 10 laptops, for example. Okay. But if it is a flat network, thing is that all the system, let's say there are thousands of systems, all the system will be kind of accessible from each system. So the malware can what it can do is it can spread out to those 100 systems, 1000 systems immediately. Okay. So our response will be kind of little bit